Ill Sound Radio, we back in the building. We got our special guest in here, YK Supe.
Yo, what's up?
Welcome to the show, bro. How you feeling?
Man, I'm feeling great. Thank y'all for having me.
No problem, bro. How was how you found the trip here?
It was pretty solid. I ain't getting no sleep, man. Like, we had hit the club last night. We left about 2. Had to go to the B&B, get up at 4.
Oh yeah.
So I can make it to the spot by like 4:35. You know how it be at the airport. Got here like, what time I get here, Mooney said? Like 9.
Oh yeah, so you been on the road.
Oh yeah.
Yes, sir. So man, we got your tape, bro. We got the skirt tape, right?
Yes,
skirt,
sir.
TST Volume 1.
Yep, TST Volume 1, definitely.
Talk about it, man.
Oh yeah, TST Volume 1 is a joint project with me and my brother 93 Chris. Mm-hmm. He's a part of YKMG. We've been friends since like high school, like 2009.
Oh yeah.
Before we both used to rap.
Mm-hmm.
And then when he was like, yeah, I think I want to dip into producing. I'm like, all right, I'll stick to the rapping, you do the producing.
Uh-huh.
And then he started working on it, and I had went off to college at Alabama A&M.
Right. And
that's when the YKMG brand like started to form, and because I was using school as a tool to help me catapult with the music.
Mm-hmm.
And we gonna dig into all that, of course, later. But
sure.
When I end up moving back, it was like me and bro reconnected. Like, of course we would, link up Christmas, them breaks, different things like that.
Right.
But we never had a full body of workout.
Mm-hmm.
And when I dropped the Raw mixtape, Chris did 2 joints on there. He did the outro Raw, and he did grind music, and those were streaming really well.
Right.
So we was able to see, like, man, people really rocking with our chemistry, but they only was able to get a piece of it.
Right.
So after I did the project with A1 Juice, who was also a part of YKMG, I'm like, all right, Chris, we finna roll you out, like,
for sure,
as not just a producer, but as a brand, and to show people what you about. Mm-hmm. That's why, like, on the cover art, if you notice, I made him bigger than me. I put him to the front,
right,
just so you could see, like, how it really go down when we be cooking it up.
Yes, sir.
And I'm like, I don't want no distractions. I don't want nobody, none of that. We just gonna do it 7 songs straight through. Now, granted, my other producer, Flock, that's my frat brother. Mm. That's my DJ and my homie. They co-produced the record, Beat 'Em, the outro. And that was the first joint that they ever made together. Yeah. But other than that, this is just like a joint project with me and bro, kind of like how 21 and Metro had Savage Mode. I had you guys, Zaytoven and Gucci. This was just to show y'all, how we coming.
I feel you. So you say y'all been locked in since 09. Have you been doing music since like back then?
I could always rap, but I was never really trying to get on back then.
Right.
Like, I just loved hip hop. I love the culture. I love the ability to be able to express myself. I never thought about money back then.
I feel you.
And then I also got like a battle rap background. So like in my school, it was so boring. I went to Perspectives, MSA, and we was the first graduating class of that one.
Uh-huh. We
ain't had no gym. We ain't have too much extracurricular activity. So it was either do your work, talk about each other in class, or rap. or instigate, instigate to get something popping in there. And people used to be like, man, Supe, let me hear something. I used to be in the back of the class writing raps. Mm-hmm. And the teachers used to let me because they're like, okay, finish this right here, now I'll let you do that. Right. So, okay, let me copy off your paper. Writing raps. And then when it's lunchtime, man, spit that stuff. And then it was still like, I just liked music. I just never was trying to get on. But when I went to college and I seen what I could really do with it, and I had opened up for all the artists that I opened up for, Gucci Mane, Dolph, Lucci, Juicy J, Thug, like thousands of people, and they were receptive to what I was doing and how I was kicking it. And then I used to be tearing people up, battling.
Yeah.
So that's when I'm like, okay, I might be able to do something with this. And then like from like 2013, that's when I really started taking it seriously and trying to hone my craft. Because before I could just rap, but then I had to learn how to make songs.
For sure.
Like, you got bars, but we need something we can dance to. The girls, we need something we can dance to. We need something we can turn up to. And I think that was probably the hardest part because I had to find my pocket because I was in Alabama and I'm from Chicago, so it was kind of like, even I remember the first time I told somebody they was tweaking, hey, I'm what? So I'm like, I'm already doomed. They don't even understand like the slang or what I'm talking about. I'm saying streets, I'm doing this, I'm doing that. And then I ended up adapting the Southern culture.
Right.
And then that's how we end up creating that Chicago Southern blend. And I end up finding my niche. I'm like, all right, like now it's on now. So when I make records, some people don't even know I'm from Chicago. They're like, where you from? I'm like, I'm from the crib. Like, it don't sound like it. I'm like, I know that track don't, but listen to that track right there. They're like, oh, okay, I can see it. So 2013 is when the grind really started.
Yeah, I heard that.
Where did the name come from, though? Like, how do you pick Y.K Supe?
Y.K Supe. So, all right, first my name was Super. Okay? And you know, down south, everybody accent different. So some people would say Super and some people would say Soup. But when I was battling people would just be like, Soup this and Soup that. And I'm like, dang, I keep telling them my name and I'm like, all right. So then when I had pledged Kappa, one of my pro fights, Tunchi, used to be like, Soup the Noop. He used to always like just play with my name or whatever. And I was just like, all right. And one day we was having a conversation, a little heart to heart. He was like, man, you a king, you know that? He was like, man, just you talking alone, like take rap out of it. Like you really know how to use your words, man. Like you need to use it for good. You need to keep going. You need to keep inspiring, da-da-da-da-da. And I heard him, but when he said, you a young king, I'm like, king, YK. I'm like, YK Supe, let me Google that. Make sure don't nobody else got that. Ain't nobody have it, so I trademarked it. And I was like, you know what? Don't call me Super no more. You can call me YK or you can call me Supe. And just YK Supe just went. And then when I went to South by Southwest in 2017, and we was out there, we was so deep. It was like 30 of us. We just was happy to be in Texas. We was happy to be a part of the whole thing. And I'm battling people. They're like, yeah, I bet you my homie could beat your homie. It's cats from Baltimore, New York, everywhere. It was so crazy that it'd be like 5 people when I'm ripping him up. And somebody pull me to the side like, man, y'all hard, man. Who is y'all? We ain't had no merch. We ain't had no name. We was just the guys. I'm like, oh, yeah, we the YKMGs. They're like, oh, okay, I like that. And then when we went back to the Airbnb, I'm like, man, what y'all think about YKMG? Young King Music Group. You know, like the branding part of it. I'm like, I could rock with that. Like, it was like we all agree with it, and it just all made sense.
So it sounded like from even way back, you was receptive of where you was heading. You know what I'm saying? You had your experience from rapping in the classroom. You had the early battle rap, and it seemed like everything just flowed. Your name, you went from Super to YK Supe. So while you going through all this, you just think about it on the fly, like, yeah, this, that. You know what I'm saying? Or was you really knowing what you was doing? Or was like, how was it going, basically?
When it came to YKMG, that was strategized because what I did was I looked at the strengths and weaknesses of all my homies. And I'm like, okay, Roger, he do security at the club. Yep. He the biggest. He really down for the movement. You the lead security. Then my DJ Flock, he wasn't producing at first. He was trying to find his niche. Like Flock, I didn't know he had a music background. I didn't know that he used to drum. I didn't know that he used to be with DJ L. I ain't know none of that. It was nothing about music. But I always supported him, and he always supported me. So I'm like, you want a DJ, bro? Shoot, you could be my DJ. Before I even had a following, I'm like, you gonna be my DJ. DJ Flock. Like, and one thing led to another. And then he was like, yeah, I think I want to produce, bro. And I'm like, all right, whatever you cook up, I'm gonna go crazy. For sure. We gonna build. And then it was just with the next person. I'm like, okay, cool. You my manager. You're like, I ain't never managed nothing before. I'm like, man, you intelligent. You a hustler. You got your engineering degree. You very responsible with money. You real loyal. You support me without wanting something back from what's going on.
Yeah.
If I had $1 million, I could leave it with you and I know it'll all be there.
For sure.
And that's what's most important in this music game. It's not always about, oh, this person knows this person, so let me click up with him because this can get me there. Because the thing about it is 3 types of managers in this game. You got the ones that are inexperienced, you got the ones that are experienced, and then you got the ones who are just, they have good relationships with different people.
Right.
And all of them have pros and cons. The managers who have the experience, they can probably connect you with someone faster because they have relationships in the industry. They've been doing this.
Right.
But the negative side to it is that they know more than you, so you could be getting taken advantage of and you don't know.
For real.
Now, the manager who don't have any experience, now the negative part is he doesn't have any experience, so it might be difficult for him to get you in through them rooms. But then the ones who are inexperienced be the go-getters. Them be the ones like the Dame Dash who gonna pull up to every DJ. They gonna pull up to every club. They hands on with it, you know. And if that's what your brand needs, do it. But if it's not, get someone else. And these are things that I was learning as I was growing in the industry and different things like that. So with YKMG, it was real strategic. Some people didn't came, some people didn't went. You know how it go. But when it came to me as a brand like Y.K Supe, I didn't really start taking that seriously until I got my first deal. Like, and I probably should have been prepared, but I was so into the music that I didn't think about my name. I didn't think about the dimensions as an artist. I didn't think about having different aliases. None of that. I just was just focused on the music and see what would happen. And then when stuff started getting real, I started to tighten up a little bit. Like, all right, let me get a little bit more on top of my brand. So can't nobody make me do something I don't want to do. Can't nobody write my own story for me. You know?
For sure.
So for sure.
Now, I see how you approach college. Now, I always think nobody should just go to college. Like, I'm lying. I think everybody should experience college. But I think you should have a honest approach to college. And it seemed like you went into college like on some marketing path. Like, I'm going to use college to grow my base and it's going to work. So did you actually have that game plan for going to college? Like, when did that come?
It was in the air. I honestly didn't want to go to college. I used to cut hair in high school. Man, my grandfather was a barber. My uncle was a barber. It was always a respectable occupation, you know, where I'm from. And it's a lot of people hustling, a lot of people doing different things, but a barber was always, you could tip your hat to him. The hustlers know him, the professional people know him. Like, I was even cutting hair in high school, $5 linings, telling my homies pull up to the crib doing that. So for me, I didn't even really have any intentions on wanting to leave the east side, because at the time, for what? It's a shop up the street I know I can work at. I know everybody right here, blah, 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 blah. But then 2012 was when I graduated high school, and my mom begged me to go away for school. And she had me young, and she sacrificed so much for me to be somebody that I was like, all right, I'm going to just go. Alabama, I didn't have no family. I didn't know nobody. My high school counselor kind of like, what you think about an HBCU? I'm like, what's that? I couldn't believe I didn't know what an HBCU was. Right. I wasn't taught that. So you somebody that's all black school. So you want me to go down there to get lynched? That's what you want me to go down there? Like, that was my attitude. And then, you know, my uncle was like, boy, you can make it in Chicago. You can make it anywhere. Thanks. Your mama asking you to go, just try it. And if it don't work, you can always come home. Home ain't going nowhere. But if it do work for you, man, just work it. Just try. I say, okay. And I was hooping, too, in high school. Like, I played with Anthony Davis, all that. And I had offers from smaller schools, but then that was kind of grinding my mama gears, because she was like, yo, you could go hoop, but I feel like you could do something else. Like, you could go to a small school, but I feel like you too smart to go to a Triton or different things like that. But that was the only offers that I had. And I'm like, you know what? You want me to go to school? You want me to go down south? And then this is when Chicago was busting, all the murders going on. I'm talking about, you cut on the news one day on the 7500 block, this person get killed. On the 7800 block, and I stayed on 77. So I'm like, dang, it's like a murder every other day. But it was normal. So I'm like, you know what? You want me to do this? I'm going to go. And when I went, at first I didn't know what I was going to do with the music. I was trying to get, like, my foundation together first. Like, because I didn't know anybody. I didn't have no car. I ain't had no job. You know how it go. And when I found like-minded people who enjoy music and bars, that's kind of how I started making friends, and I started making a name for myself. Like, yeah, dude from Chicago, he can rap. And it's kind of funny, because my first show ever, I got booed. I tried to do some Chicago business. They wasn't for it. They ain't get it. They ain't understand it. Right. The beat, they ain't like it. And I was like, they ain't boo me because I'm weak. They booed me because they ain't know I'm that guy yet. That's all that is. I'm going to just go crazy. Yeah, and it drove me, and it used to be this contest called Who Got Bars. My boy Jules Perot, he from New Jersey. He set up this platform to bring awareness for the hip-hop scene in Huntsville, because there was so many people from Detroit, Chicago, Cali, Alabama, everywhere. So, and the hip-hop scene wasn't really that big down there. And I never won. It's crazy. I never won the contest, but I used to kill it, though. Like, I'll get to the finale every time, and that kind of, like, was driving me. Like, I got to get nicer. I got to get nicer. I got to get nicer. And they started to film it, and it was going up. And then people put it on Twitter, and I'm talking about, I'm walking in English. Oh, girl, like, man, you really be going crazy. You know me? She like, yeah, like, I seen the video, da-da-da-da-da. You got to keep going. You got to do this. And then when I opened up for my first show, it was a wrap. Like, it was thousands of people. Like, ain't no other student really got on SGA about the opportunity. It was like it was forbidden or something like that. Mm-hmm. And I just asked. And they're like, well, if you can prove that you would have so many people that don't mind you doing this and that'll support you, we'll let you do it. And the whole Chicago turned up for me. They was going crazy. And after that, everybody started to gravitate. And then I started going to Atlanta because it was 3 hours away. And I would perform at hole-in-the-wall strip clubs. It would be like a roster of 25 people. And I would always win. And then I would get free studio time. So now I'm in Atlanta performing. Now I'm recording. Now I'm meeting people. Now my fan base is growing, all organically of me just trying blindly, just throwing a rock at the wall and seeing what happened. Hey. And stuff started to form and started to come together, and I was getting real smart. Like, I was watching more interviews. I was reading more books. Like, I started to figure out what I wanted out of this game. Because at first, I just wanted to be hot. I just wanted to be dope. I wanted people to be like, yo, he really nice. Right. And then, okay, what's after that? Mm-hmm. And then that's when it started getting real structured. So by the time I graduated college, December 2016, I had hit the ground running because 7 months later, I got my first deal.
Mm-hmm. So that I was just going to ask, so all that led to your first deal. Can you talk about your first deal and how it went for you?
Yeah, this is crazy. My first deal was with 300 Entertainment. It was a singles deal. Uh-huh. In 2017, I did this contest called the Freestyle 50 Challenge. Right. Now, mind you, when I graduated college, and my mom was like, you really did it. What's next? I'm like, man, I'm finna hit the ground running with this music. I'm like, because one thing I did learn from school, it was more so the experience and the networking that really made me like college. Like, it wasn't about, oh, I'm finna get my degree and I'm finna work in this field. Like, I already found out that it wasn't for me. And in my junior year, this all leads into the deal. My junior year, you supposed to do like a little internship or externship before you could graduate. And my, what they call them, they assigned them to you, my advisor at the time. Yeah. He was like, yo, what you think about getting your master's? And I'm like, man, I'm finna do this music. So he like, music? He like, man, you like, I was like top 5% in my department. Like, I had like a 3.75 in my department. So school was never really hard. And he like, are you sure? He like, man, you must really be good to decide this. I'm like, I mean, you could always check me out. He like, I know I'm an older white guy, but I like rap music. I'm going to come out and come see you. And he went to the Von Braun Center that fit like 9,000 people, and he seen me tear it down. He pulled me to the side. I probably shouldn't even be saying this, but he pulled me to the side. He's like, I got you. Man, I did some summer job. He signed off like it was like like it was my actual internship, and was like, because you needed it to walk. And he like, you just can't stop now. He was like, because this is totally against what, but you really driven and I see it in you. So just go ahead and do your thing. So by the time I graduated, it was a wrap. It wasn't no, I'm coming into a job. Like, it wasn't like that, like not nothing too big or too crazy. And my homie Roger, like, yeah, you finna get on. Like, it's time. We done did it. We done did that. And that's when I entered the Freestyle 50 Challenge like 6 months later. It was like a rap American Idol, so to say.
I remember that.
Yup. But out of like 100,000 people, they broke down 30,000 people, and out of all of them, I ended up winning. But the story is really the gem. I done told this story so many times that I'm able to trim the fat and crunch it, so check it. I graduated December 2016, on top of the world. January come, 2017, my grandfather died cancer. Boom, that hit me. Then after that, my apartment ended up getting flooded. Like, something like the ceiling was growing mold, and like how like this ceiling right here, it could fall down. Like, it was all bad. Carpet squishy, I had to get out of there. Then after that, my car break down. Then this job I was supposed to get, they told me they had to wait before they could hire me because they had to fire somebody else for the position that I wanted. Because I'm like, I'm fresh out of college. I ain't finna make no $10 an hour. Y'all got to rock with me. Like, and it just seemed like everything was going wrong. So at that point, this is the first time ever in my career I questioned myself if music, what I was supposed to be doing, because it seemed like now that I'm taking it seriously, I don't got school in a way. I'm trying to go all the way in, and none of this stuff is going right. And my faith with God grew from this situation because it was like I was real down, man. I ain't had no bread. Like, it was a hard time. But I never stopped writing. And my homie Mondo, shout out to him, Midwest Consultants Group, he got his own tax service on 93rd and Stony. Y'all tap in with bro in January. But he sent me the link to my Instagram, and I ignored it. And then I got like a few more DMs of people just sending it to me. And it's crazy because I always used to get tagged in contests, but it would be so many comments that you dang near be like, is it a scam? Is it worth me doing it? Blah, blah, blah. Then I'm like, man, God, if music really meant for me, you know, give me a sign. And after that, he called me. Mondo called me. And it's funny because Mondo called everybody weak. You could be the rawest person ever, but he gonna call you weak. Like, he gonna find something. Like, this chicken busting, ain't it? He like, man, this about burnt. Like, he just play all day. Like, that's him. But when he seen like it wasn't the time, you know, and he was like, man, Supe, they talking about the winner of this gonna get a deal with 300. They gonna get like 10K. They gonna get a song with London on the track. Like, this you, like, for real. Like, I know I say you trash, you know, but no, you really like one of the hardest people I'd have ever met doing this. Like, you already at the bottom. Like, you can't go no lower than where you at right now, man. And I hit up this cameraman named Fish. Shout out to him. I'm like, Fish, I know you ain't never heard me say this, but bro, I don't have no money. I'm like, but I want you to do this submission video for me. And when I win, I'm going to pay you back. And he like, when you win? He like, man, you know how many people doing this contest? And you just talking about when you win. I'm like, man, I don't know, man. I could feel it. He like, all right. He pull up. He do it. And I rap my heart out like in that 60 seconds. Like, I gave it all I got to where it was undeniable. Mm-hmm. And then my homegirl, Jay, hit me like, yo, make sure you submit that freestyle to WGCI. Because they promoting in Chicago, but I'm in Alabama, so I didn't know that it was on the airways and they was promoting it or whatever. I'm like, okay. 2 weeks go by, I don't hear nothing. So I'm thinking they just didn't pick me. I checked my Instagram. My Instagram wasn't even busting yet. Like, I might have had like 100 views, and this was a big gym. Like, it's all finna come together, y'all. I had like 100 views, so I'm like, man, they ain't even watch it. You know, like, I'm just being negative, and that's not like me. I'm really optimistic, but I just couldn't. That death of the family really did it, and there was other things going on where it was just, you know. And man, I ended up getting a job at the Boys and Girls Club. I'm working with kids. I got my degree in sociology, so I had a background working with kids anyway. Like, if I wasn't doing music, I would be working with the youth and doing that. And I got the job, stuff starting to turn around a little bit. And from that point, man, another blow hit me. Like, man, they called me. This lady named Janice Green, I remember, from WGCI. Right. She called me off her personal cell phone. And I wasn't answering random calls at the time just because I'm thinking I owe somebody, like a bill collector or something. I'm up, I don't know the number, decline. And something told me, like, boy, answer the phone. And she was like, yo, is this Y.K Supe? And that's the first time somebody ever said my name, my artist name, on the phone like that. Like, I'm thinking Marcus Dixon. So when they say Y.K Supe, I jump up like, never.
Right.
So she like, yeah, I've been calling you for the past 2 weeks. This is going to be my last time calling you. So I figured I'd call you off my personal cell phone. I seen your submission video. It was dope. You know, right now you in the top 25 in the city. And I'm going to hit you up later on and let you know if you made it to the top 5. And if you did, we want you to come to the radio station tomorrow and do that same rap that you did there, here. So I'm like, all right, bet. Mm-hmm. So I'm hype up like I hit the lotto, like, oh. For real. Next thing you know, roommate knock on the door. Hey, man, I got some bad news. I'm what? It can't be no news that's getting ready to mess up what I'm feeling right now. Right. He like, yeah, man, we got like 7 days to get out. What? I'm like, bro, I just paid my rent. He like, man, truth be told, this and this happened. I was behind on my rent, blah, 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 blah. So I'm like, you mean to tell me I'm potentially finna go to Chicago? When I come back, I got to find somewhere to stay. I'm like, man, just get my bread. I'm going to get my bread when you get it, right. Whatever. And I asked off work. They said no. And I took off anyway. Mm-hmm. I just took a leap of faith. I'm like, man, like, I asked God if music is really meant for me, give me a sign. And I felt like that was a sign, and I couldn't prove it. Right. But it felt like it. But I ain't really had no bread. I had like $80 to my name at the time. And I told my DJ this. And he like, man, you need to go up there. I'm going to help you. You know what I'm saying? I'm going to help you with the drive. Like I said, my car was broke down, so I had to borrow my homegirl Seattle car to drive 8 hours to Chicago. So she like, yo, so what you mean to tell me is you want to borrow my car to drive to Chicago for a contest that isn't guaranteed, and you only gonna rap for 60 seconds, and you taking off work after your job said no. I'm like, that's exactly what I'm saying.
Oh yeah.
She like, boy, you crazy. She was like, but I believe in you. Just get an oil change. So now that's $40 right there. 40 ain't gonna get me all the way up there. And my DJ was like, nah, I got you. And we drove up there. I went crazy. Like cause I'm like, they ain't been through what I've been through. Like they want it, but I know they don't want it cause for me, it's like if they lose, they can just get on the bus and go home. They can just get in the car and just drive up the street and just, oh well. Right. I gotta drive 8 and some change back. Right. I'm like, it's over with.
I'm finna tear it down.
It's over with. Like, I'm not finna go. And that year before that, in 2016, I never lost nothing. Like, I started to really get in my bag every battle, every cypher, every contest, everywhere. I just kept winning. And I'm like, and that's what gave me the courage to say, yo, at the graduation, I'm finna really do this music. Like, it's not on accident. Like, I'm going to places where nobody know me, and we taking over. And we go back. We driving back to Alabama. My DJ like, yo, so what you finna do? I'm like, shoot, man, I'm finna win. I'm like, because if I get this deal and I get this money, everything gonna work out. Like, all my problems gonna be fixed. Like, you know, it's gonna be lit. And everybody kept giving me this speech, like, no matter what happened, we proud of you. I'm like, don't say that to me. If it ain't when you win, I don't want to hear it. Like that. And I went to L.A. It was me and maybe like 6, 7 other contestants from all over the United States. Sway was there. Redman was there. Russell Simmons was there. Like, a lot of the heavy players in the industry was there. Mm-hmm. And one by one, I was just tearing it down, and before you knew it, I was victorious, and it was crazy because it felt like a movie. Because, like I said, I walked across the stage December 2016. This is August 2017, so this ain't that far off from me. So when I got the deal, it was crazy. Like, it wasn't even about the money or the deal. It was just that I really stuck to something when it wasn't easy to do it, and I did it. And then I'm like, even if you a mathematical probability type person, man, 1 out of 100,000 people ain't average.
Facts.
You know, like you can't
say that again.
1 out of 100,000 people ain't average.
Heard that.
You know, you can't even debate that. Like, it's something there. So, and that's how I ended up getting my first deal with 300, and it was a crazy moment. My mama was there, my homie Charlie was there. Man, it was a crazy time, and from that moment I knew. You know what I'm saying? King Los, like the photo when I won, if you could look at these guys, like, they was shocked. Like, it's like I came out of nowhere. Like, it was this dude Sumo, he was there. He was known from World Star. This other dude was known in Atlanta. This other, like, everybody had a bigger following me. Everybody seemed to be more ahead than it really seemed. But at the end of the day, I still came out victorious. And from that moment, I'm like, God, I see what it is. I asked you if music was meant for me, give me a sign, and you couldn't get no bigger sign than that. And then after that, I started taking YKMG serious. Like, I started really, like, sharpening it up, because you going from country Alabama to Hollywood overnight. Yeah, that's basically how it was. Country, I'm talking about I was working in dirty. Like, Huntsville ain't that country, but where I was working, Ardmore, Alabama, you still seeing Confederate flags. You still seeing cows and goats and all that. So I used to be at work like, how can I even draw inspiration? Like, I had to hold on to Chicago in my mind, because if I'm looking at what's around me, it was difficult. But I just locked in, and I used to talk to God every day. Like, I'm not really religious, but I'm very spiritual. And I used to just talk to God every day, like, please have your way, please have your way. So when that happened, I'm like, oh yeah, man, you could blow up at any time. You just got to keep going, and always treating every day like it could be the day.
It's crazy how the universe was speaking to you. And most of the time when the universe speaks to a normal person, you know, we tend to fight it. We tend to make excuses on, like you say, man, my roof got a hole in it, man. I ain't thinking about music. But somehow you stayed 10 toes to your dream. So how are you able to actually stay focused on that? Because like you just said, bro, you had a lot going on.
Yeah, and there's some stuff I can't even say. I'm missing about like 5 dimensions of this. I think I didn't have nothing else. Like, a lot of guys I noticed, like, when they be like, it's a lot of rappers out here, and a lot of guys just like the image. A lot of people just like what they think the lifestyle is. But with music, it got to be in you, not on you. And that's all I had that was kind of keeping my sanity together. Like, I didn't have no money. Like, just being real. And it was crazy because I was just up. Like, I was just up, like, graduation. I'm drinking Ace of Spades, wingtip, player, dress shoes, tailored suit. I'm talking about, like, I was decent. So, and it confused me, like, how could I go from so up to so down so fast? So it was an ego thing as a man. Like, I can't believe I'm out here this bad. Like, eating noodles, drinking water diet. You know what I'm saying? It was like that. But music was what was keeping my sanity. Music what was giving me hope. Music what was giving me that light. Like, you gonna overcome this. Because I could have took the easy way out. Like, if I wanted to, like, if I just went to lock in on a job and do this and that, man, I could make like $50,000 a year, live regular, and it'll be cool. But that's not what I'm living for. I'm living to maximize my potential and take my spiritual gift as far as I can take it to create opportunities for others. Because I was already doing it just on a smaller scale. Like, I didn't notice, like, my homie Roger, like, man, I never thought I'd be a part of something like this. And I am. My homie Flock, like, I'd never thought, like, I'd be, you know what I'm saying? And I'm like, I gotta go hard. And when it was just by myself, it was whatever. But now that I got a crew now, I gotta keep going. Because all these trips we done took, all this gas we done used, all this money we done spent, I have to take it to the next level. I owe myself, I owe my family, and I owe my squad. So ain't no time for no pity party. This what makes those giants, you know, because it would have been, remember that contest that one time I could have did?
Right.
And where I come from, it's a lot of people who almost made it to the league. They almost made it. They almost lived. It's always an almost. And that's something that I stood on. I'm like, not today. Not today. I'm like, this ain't gonna be no almost story. This gonna be
for certain.
It's gonna be for certain. For certain. They're gonna respect my brand. They're gonna respect my name. They're gonna respect my hustle, and they're gonna respect my story. But it's easier said than done. You gotta weather that storm, and what don't kill you make you strong. It ain't kill me. It hurt me. You know, a couple tears. You know, went a little hungry, a little thirsty. But man, it's like I said, man, they gotta be in you, not on you.
For sure, bro.
All right, now you submitted one track, Fiesta.
Oh yeah, that Fiesta joint.
So let's speak on that, and then I want you to introduce that joint.
Okay. Fiesta is one of the records off the TST project. With me and Chris, we didn't flat out know what the radio record was. We said that we would just put the project out there and see how the fans be receptive to it, and then from that point we would go from there. But in the back of our mind, we knew that Fiesta had potential to be able to do something, and it's one of the most streamed records on Spotify, so that spoke. And then when we made the clean version for it, we like, it ain't that much cussing in here to begin with. Like, we could shoot the video clean and you wouldn't even peep it. It might be like 2 cuss words in there. So that kind of helped it out. But Fiesta is like I don't know how to explain it, man, because it's the elements of the production that Chris did. You know how the New York wave took the drill from Chicago and kind of remixed it. And, you know, and bro always was like, you know, I kind of always want us to tap into it, but we don't be on that, you know, that negativity, shoot 'em, kill 'em, all that. Like, we'll tell you about what's going on. We have some bravado when we making our music, but we try to be careful of what we paint with our pictures, you know, sometimes. And I'm like, man, let's make a fun record. And Fiesta, that's what it was. He took them drums that they flipped and put his own swag on it, and we made our own little sound with it, and it ended up coming out like it did, and it got a lot of feedback. So we was like, yo, we just gonna send this one to Illanoize. But yeah, man, if y'all don't know, man, once again, man, it's Y.K Supe and 93 Chris on the track with that Fiesta, man. Y'all tune in.
Yo, it's your boy Biko. Make sure you head over to the Apple Store and Google Play Store and download the Illanoize app right now. From there, you'll be able to stream Illanoize Radio live every Saturday from 4 to 6 p.m., as well as stream podcasts, watch interviews, check out the latest news, and so much more. So head over there to your App Store and download the Illanoize app.
So you say with producer 93 Chris.
Yeah.
I found off air you said y'all met in chemistry class, and it shows. It shows on the project. You know, so talk about that more. You think that's some type of coincidence?
Yeah, it's definitely a coincidence, man. And Chris, he a real quiet, humble guy, but I give him so much credit. I be telling him, like, man, you don't even understand our relationship with this music and what his house was a lot for me. Like, I tell him, like, man, I almost feel like it saved my life. And ain't no telling how much, it's so much negative stuff that was going on in the hood at the time. where I could have easily been a part of it. And I'm like, oh, I'm finna hit the stew. And the stew wasn't much of nothing, but it was ours, you know? So it was just like the fact that he was opening up his crib and, you know, R.I.P. to Ma, she never complained when we was over there, man. Like, she never crushed our dreams. She never told us we was too loud. None of that. Like, I'm talking about we used to, and I don't know, man. Like, it was just crazy that we met in the chemistry class because we both wasn't no good in chemistry, you know? And then I'm like, they only put me in the front of the class just because I was going to kick it with my homies. I always sat in the back. So the fact that I just happened to be in the front and then he was the new dude, and I'm like, well, I know what it's like being new. I'm like, you know, and we get to chopping it up and just everything end up lining up. And when I see how far we took it and I listen to this project, it just speaks volume because me and bro never got into an argument one time. We never got into a dispute one time in our almost 12 years. Not one. So that chemistry joke where he be like, yeah, it's kind of, don't you think it's kind of raw that, you know, we met in chemistry class and we got the chemistry with this music, like they can't touch this and that. I'm like, Chris, you are 100% right. So it's a blessing, honestly.
I heard that. So if you had to pick one track off the EP to introduce yourself to a newer crowd, what would you pick?
You just asked me a good question, man. Y'all raw.
For sure.
I'm going to pick one just because you asked me to pick one. But like I was saying earlier off air, I make different music for different demographics of people. Mm-hmm. And I noticed that every artist don't exercise that ability or they may not have the ability. So like I love Skirt Freestyle because of the lyricism and the storytelling. And everybody who giving me feedback that's 30 and up, they was like, yo, that's the joint. Like the other ones, they was hot, but that's the joint. Mm-hmm. But then when my little sister got her music playing on her little speaker, she playing that Fiesta. She, you know what I'm saying, going crazy. I'm like, okay, yeah, this for the kids right here. Like it ain't that much cussing, this and that. But then for personally, I think for me, Burning Sage, because if I had to pick one, just because when I made Burning Sage, I didn't really make it for anybody. I was like, I'm finna try something. The production was so different from anything we ever did before. And that was me really like, pandemic, I touched on the whole pandemic thing of what was going on, but Burning Sage was the most personal. Right. My cousin had just got killed, you know, from gang violence. My homie Tavares, his sister got killed in broad day. It was a lot of emotions that I had suppressed from a lot of things that was going on, and I was always cool, always kept it player. But when I heard that beat, there was one of them moments where I was like, yo, I'm going to really be able to get my stuff off on this. I'm going to be able to, I don't know how they going to take it because I've never used this flow before. I've never put out any production like this before, but whoever like it, and whoever don't. Sure. And I've been getting good feedback off that Burning Sage, so that's my personal favorite, but I like each record for different things. You know?
And that's what you was aiming for, right? Just aiming for all 7 to hit off like that.
Yep. So just, because I didn't want, if it's the first time that you ever heard my project, one thing that I did not want to hear out of somebody's mouth is all leads sound the same. Some people, that's their goal, but I hate that because I know that I have the range to do it. Mm-hmm. So execute. Mm-hmm. That's what I'm telling myself, execute. So when I get the feedback and people like, yo, I like that. When people got different favorites, I know I did something right. Mm-hmm. If everybody say Pandemic is the one and that's it, then subliminally, them other records might have been straight, but to me, I didn't do enough. But when my mama got a different favorite and my homie got a different favorite, and I got fans in Montreal who tell me like, yo, that XXX, where it's at? I'm like, okay, I did something right because everybody got a different favorite. And if everybody get a different favorite, then that means that the project can't lose because I can touch different people. But if I just stuck to bars, right? No hook, just bars all the way through. For that crowd, they gonna like that. But what about these people over here, the girls who want to shake it? Right. They ain't got nothing to shake to. But if I make all music for them to shake it, for the people who know me for bars, they gonna be like, bro, you so intelligent. You ain't give me no knowledge. You ain't give me no. Yeah. So I'm like, okay, I'm gonna touch everybody with this, and we're gonna do it in 7 songs. Because my first mixtape, Raw, had I think 15 joints on there. But the only reason why I did it, because I understood that we in a time that less is more, but I was fresh out of the label deal, and I was sitting on so much music, and my fans was like, we've been getting videos, but we ain't got no projects. So I'm like, okay, with Raw, I'm going to make a full body of work, skits, all type of stuff. So when I get to dropping these EPs, and you ask yourself, well, can he make a full body of work? You can go back and see, like, nah, he can make a full album if he want to. I'm just making these short ones just because you gotta, people attention span is short. You gotta get in and get out. The whole project, 17 minutes. That's enough for you to get in your car, warm it up, get to the stove. You halfway there, put your groceries back in there. Other half, you back at the crib, tape done.
What did you major in college?
I majored in sociology with a minor in psychology.
Okay, because how you breaking everything down, I'm like, man, I know he didn't pursue a career with his major, but that shit definitely ties into your music and how you approach everything.
Perspective. Perspective is like the number one thing in life for me, you know, because that's what causes a lot of confusion. That's what causes understanding, perception. Like, perception does a lot. So for me, I'm like, I have to be totally for sure of the perception that I'm dishing out. I have to know it backwards and forwards because it's my work. And I feel like me being able to break it down helps you get into my world of why I did these records the way I did it. Why did I line them up like this? Why did I do this? You know, I'm really into the whys. Mm-hmm. I feel like if you understand somebody's why, it helps the relationship. When you just messing with somebody just cause, like with a woman, why do you rock with me? If you just going with the flow, it's cool, but at some point you got to understand her why. Because it might be, she might just be there for the money. Or she might be there just because it could be anything. But in life, you got to understand the why. Job interview, why you want this job? Why you think you qualified? Why it never goes nowhere? Why did you do the crime? Why did you know, like why is like a big focal point of everything. And I'm like, it's important as an artist to understand your why. It's important for your crew to understand y'all why, because for me, I tell my homies all the time, it's all about what you represent. If what you represent and what you represent are on two totally different times, it ain't either one of y'all fault. It's nobody's fault. You just can't mess with each other because those who cannot agree cannot walk. And people understanding your why make them go hard for you. Because think about it. If I'm like, yeah, I just want the money and the fame, but my security don't care about money and fame, then it's kind of like now he's just doing a job, right? But if you understand my why and all our whys align up with one another, then we all gonna go hard because we all on the same cause, we all on the same principle, and we all have a vision for the same outcome. And that's how you end up making these big companies like Rock Nation and all these other ones like that, because everybody understood the why. We understood everybody ain't gonna be Hove, but we need a Bleak, and we need a Dame, and we need a Biggs, and we need a this, and you gonna help me understand about clothes, and you gonna help me understand about liquor, and you gonna introduce me to sports, because we all want our why to come true, and then we bring it together and we execute and grow. You know, so
man, that's how you create bosses. And then you go back to your name, Young King. You feel me? Like, it's amazing how like I said, your life aligned itself. You know what I'm saying? And you didn't fight it. Most people fight it. So when I asked you about the college, and you was like, college was never on my mind. So shout out to your uncle, shout out to your moms.
For sure.
You feel me? Because they pushed you in that direction, and college expanded your platform. So shout out to them for that, on my baby.
Nah, for real, man. Definitely shout out to them. Like, I can honestly say, like, if I didn't go to college and do what I did, there probably wouldn't be a YK Supe. Because for me, once again, rap wasn't, I was good at it, but I didn't really care about blowing up, which is why, like, I'm 26 now. You know, Jay-Z dropped his first album at 26, this and that. But for me, I'm kind of glad that I didn't blow soon. And I know that sounds crazy as an artist, but I realized it's so much that I did not know. Like, I'm real sharp and smart now. I always had the potential, but I didn't tap into this level of thinking yet. So I can only imagine me being famous and moving around and not knowing the gems, not knowing my brand, not knowing what type of deal I want, not knowing what companies I want to work with. I already got that. I know I know what I want. I know where I want to get it from, and now it makes it easier to plan. So now I'm like, I'm a Young King. That boss persona is on me because I have to be, because my brand is around it. Like, I'm not a person who's just trying to go viral to get a deal and I'm a rapper and that's it. No, like, I want to own my stuff. I want to partner up with other companies. I want distribution and marketing deals. I want to roll out artists. This Mooney Sav right here, he the next one up. Like, bro, from Montgomery, Alabama originally. But bro up here in Chicago because he living up here, he doing his thing, and he believe in the movement. And me growing as an artist, I've learned how to build artists. So now I get to go through all the BS to make it pop, so that way when bro come in, he ain't got to make the same mistakes. He ain't got to waste the money. Like, that's what I'm on. Like, I'm saying it on the air. Like, YKMG is going to be like the QC of Chicago, where you're going to be able to be from Chicago and pull up to the office and show your music. And if you really got it and your situation makes sense, we going to really be able to make something happen. But the only way that I could really, really make that happen is I have to show people. I could talk about it, but I have to ascend as that type of artist. I got to bust through the door and open it up and let the work speak. And then everything going to follow suit.
For sure. With that being said, where can you see YKMG 5 years from now? The brand and yourself included.
5 years from now, I could see, and just being completely honest with you, like world domination. And when I say world domination, I mean like everybody got their own taste of music, so everybody gonna feel like they at the top of the rap game. But I'm talking about the name is known in Africa, Jamaica, the UK, Canada. Like we've toured the world already. All of the members in YKMG are worth 6 figures or up, to where they don't got to clock in on nobody's job and they can make a great living off this alone. Now, how far you want to take it, how far you want to take your investments, different things like that, that's on you. But just knowing that with this company alone, you can live, that's a big W for me. I see having an office downtown Chicago. I want it downtown. I want it downtown. I want my own office where you can come in here and we got A&Rs and we got studios and we got all that. Like, that's what I see 5 years from now, because I feel like all of those things transition into things that I can hand down to my kids when I have them. Publishing of my music. They got a piece of my masters. They got a piece of this building. They got a piece of this merch. They got a piece of this dispensary. They got a piece of that. So now, when they are adults, they can do whatever they want to do, however they want to do it, because we laid that foundation. So 5 years from now, I see YKMG as the number one label in Chicago, fighting or being amongst some of the biggest ones in the country, and our name is known around the world off of our music and what we represent and what we about. That's what I see within 5 years, and success is already in that. But I don't want to speak on that because I don't want to put a cap on it. I don't want to say, oh, I want to do just this and this, because God may have intention of me getting a Grammy, but I'm just talking about being a millionaire, you know, like, so I just kind of want God to have his way, same way as before, and whatever comes from that is going to come. But world domination is the realm of where I'm trying to take it.
Yeah.
All right, now before we get out of here, you got any shout outs? You got any anything you want to say to the people and let them know where they can find you at?
Yeah. First off, I'm gonna speak to the people. I want to speak to all the artists out there grinding, all the radio platforms, all the hustlers, all the people creating clothing, everybody who out there grinding. I want y'all to hear this: gifts and talents are always related to purpose and destiny. I'm gonna say it one more time. Gifts and talents are always related to purpose and destiny. There are no chosen ones. Everybody got something inside of them that can reach a genius level talent. You just got to figure out whatever your spiritual gift is, and once you find what it is, you just got to lock in and keep going no matter what. So I just want to put that out there for the people. If you grind harder. If you going up, keep going. You could do whatever you want to do. So I just want to put that positivity out there in the universe. Shout out to the whole YKMG. Shout out to Mooney Sav. Shout out to Flacco. Shout out to 93 Chris. Shout out to T-Ski, Roger, A Boogie, my lawyer, one of my best friends, Jazz, my family, and just everybody who rock with the YKMG movement. Shout out to y'all. Much love to y'all. We going to be doing some big things. You can find me on Instagram, Twitter, at yo_soup, on YouTube, YK Supe, Y.K Supe. Subscribe to my YouTube channel. Actually, after this interview, we gonna finally upload the records from TST to the actual YouTube channel. We had to starve them a little bit. People, until I got the DMs like, man, why it ain't on YouTube? We need that. So we finna drop that on you.
Yes, sir.
And we got more stuff on the way, man. Y'all be on the lookout for that Supe Hendrix album. Probably third quarter 2021. We got more videos on the way, more interviews on the way, podcasts. We got more merch dropping. You know, everything is going way up, man. All glory to God.
For sure, man. Hey, with that being said, appreciate you for coming through, bro. You really dropped gems all throughout here, bro. So I appreciate you for coming. I know you a busy man. Appreciate you for fitting us in your schedule, bro, and rocking with Ill Sound Radio.
Oh, man, I appreciate y'all for having me, man. I was watching y'all platform even when I was in Alabama. I seen Illanoize just on some just organic. And I said, I'm like, yo, I want to get on that. Yes, I ain't know why. I just liked the presentation. I liked how y'all meshed. I like some of the interviews. Like, I do my research before I go someplace. So I appreciate y'all for opening up y'all schedule and allowing me to push this project and to be able to add this on my rollout. It really means a lot to me. So, man, thank y'all.
Oh, no problem, bro. Hey, you been thorough from the jump, bro, so we appreciate that, for real.
100.
Facts. Definitely got to have you back sometime in the near future.
Most definitely. We going to see if we knock some of them objectives down by the time we come back.
Oh, yeah. This for you, bro, so you got it.
Oh, yeah, 100%.